Everybody was right. AI one day is gonna kill ya. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 in theaters today here in 2023, and this film is directed by Christopher McQuarrie, who's also directed such films like Mission Impossible 5 and 6, The Way of the Gun, Jack Reacher, and the soon-to-be-released next installment in the Mission Impossible franchise, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 2. And this film is starring the crazy stuntman himself, Tom Cruise, Haley Atwell, Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg, Rebecca Ferguson, Vanessa Kirby, Esai Morales, Tom Clementif, and Henry Czerny? That's right, we're going all the way back to the first Mission Impossible movie with Kittredge. Kittredge returns and actually has a really big part to play in this movie, and I'm going to assume he's going to be in the next one, so how cool is that? Callbacks galore. The newest mission for Ethan Hunt is to go out and find two parts of a key that unlocks an artificial intelligence, so whoever does turn that key is able to control it and basically rule the world. So this takes Ethan Hunt on a journey to run all over the world, literally, and to do some crazy stunts where he takes out an entire train, all to find this frickin' key. And he meets a bunch of cool people along the way, and one of those cool people is the addition to this cast of Haley Atwell, who is probably the best part of this movie. I didn't think I was going to say that. I enjoyed her as Peggy Carter in the whole MCU, but outside of that, I haven't really given her a second thought for her acting ability. Here, though, she is seducing the crap out of the camera. You talk about stage presence in front of the lens. Whenever she is on, she's frickin' making love to that camera. When she first bumps into Tom Cruise in the airport and they're sharing that little moment, that little side smirk of hers and the way her eyes are just like piercing through him and how she's turning herself to the camera. Basically, if I was a pubescent teenager and I was just discovering myself and I'd be watching this movie, I would have a lot of questions. I would be a little scared because I don't know what would be going on with my body at that moment. But put aside that she is an absolutely beautiful actress, her character development, her character's arc is wonderful, and she is the heart of this movie. She's out for herself, and then she kind of has second thoughts about joining this team, and then reluctantly does it, but then does it willingly. It's a beautiful arc to behold, and it makes this movie fantastic. But of course, the other part has to be Tom Cruise putting his life on the line. It's amazing for someone that has shoved so much energy back into his career with the turn of this franchise with Mission Impossible 3 and then 4 and 5 when he's hanging himself out of the frickin' plane. He's frickin' crazy. It's amazing that he has to find a franchise where he needs to put himself in death-defying situations in order for his career to be revived. It's weird, but it works. And in this one, he takes out an entire plane, specifically the Orient Express, which I know from the Agatha Christie novel. How dare you take out that train, sir? The man is frickin' crazy, but that's what makes this franchise work, is that we know as an audience that this lead actor is willing to put his life on the line to get a great shot and to get a great looking action sequence for this movie just for us. Basically, we as audience members are really sick motherfuckers for making this man do this. Ving Rhames and Simon Pegg also return here from their previous roles in the previous Mission Impossible films, and they're just great. They know what they're doing. They're the hackers, they're the programmers, somehow, but they provide all the comedic bits, which are great because we need moments of breath and of levity with all of this action stuff going on. And Esai Morales plays a very charming villain. I don't know what part he has to play as this story goes along, and I really don't know, I don't know a lot about him still, and I guess that's the mystique behind this character. They build him up like that. Like, no one knows his backstory. No one knows where he comes from. He just is. He's just here. And now this AI, this thing that they call in the movie the entity has control over him and has convinced him to work for them, the entity, whatever it is. And that's the major villain of this film, is the entity, this AI artificial intelligence that has been created. I can't recall if they mentioned who created it. I think it was maybe America, but maybe not. I'm not entirely sure. We may get more answers actually in part 2 because, you know, we're going. It says it right here in the title. This is part 1, so this story, this conflict is not entirely finished. But this is a very timely villain with the creation of artificial intelligence really in the entertainment world for the last couple of years, where we have AI doing art. We have a Marvel TV show that had a whole opening sequence all done by artificial intelligence. And I'm sure it's still going to be a timely villain next year when part 2 comes out. The movie is one epic thrill ride. We have big, massive stunts, especially when we get to that train sequence in the climax of this movie. But we also have very dark, simple and contained stunts. There's a whole fight scene down this very narrow corridor with Clementine, Tom Cruise, and then there was another henchman, and he's having to take out these two people in this very narrow corridor, and he can't really move at all, and neither can them, and that's what makes it so cramped. And I have a little claustrophobia, so just seeing that just making me on edge. But that's a whole stunt in itself, and it was very impressive. It was done at nighttime, so there's a lot of silhouettes. There's a lot of smoke in the background, which I love. I love the atmosphere. And the atmosphere was amplified by the great score, the great music from Lauren Balfe, who also did Black Adam last year. They triumph here with their score. There are moments in here where the score is just swelling, and it's beautiful to listen to. But then also their rendition of the Mission Impossible theme, which is iconic. You have to have that in here. The score is just great. Now, I mentioned that Kittredge is in here, so I was talking about there's a lot of callbacks in this movie. There are lines that Kittredge says in the very first Mission Impossible film that he mentions here, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool. It's a little callback. I just watched the first one, so I get that reference. I think, though, that this film got a little repetitive. And it's a weird tightrope to be walking because I think a lot of it was intentional. There are callbacks really to every single Mission Impossible film that we've gotten released. There are lines, there are action sequences that are callbacks, but I think there are moments too where the situation or the dialogue or the building of character and relationships is something that we have seen exactly the same way in other Mission Impossible movies. And I don't think that's necessarily a downfall, because those scenes that are repetitive here, they're great scenes, and they're necessary to build character, but it did get to a point where there's a lot of just repetitive stuff where I'm like, I've seen this before. Which Mission Impossible is this? Is this Mission Impossible 5 or 4 or 6? Because all of this, we're building on the same thing here. But this is the 7th Mission Impossible film. I guess what else can you do? And now that I've asked that question, I'm scared for Tom Cruise's life, because now that I've said, hey, what else can you do? They're gonna find something else to do, and his life is gonna be on the line. I really enjoyed this movie. This is one of my favorites of the year. Is it my favorite? I don't think I can put it up there. This is definitely a worthy sequel to the whole Mission Impossible franchise. Every single installment gets better and better and better. I can't say that this one is better than Mission Impossible Fallout. I would put it on the same playing field, though. But I don't think it's better. 1, it's a part 1, and 2, really all the repetitive nature of what was going on in this movie, I can't put it above Fallout. That and my movie-going experience wasn't the best, because there were a couple of teenagers in the back row of my theater. It was a mainly empty theater, because I went to a matinee. I like doing that. And these 3 teenagers were just talking the entire time, the entire movie. And it wasn't loud and obnoxious to where it was distracting, but I would just hear like the S's, like shush, shh, like every 5 seconds. I'm like, what do you have to talk about while you're watching a movie? If you want to talk, then don't be here. Be somewhere else. So that's my little public service announcement for all of you. If you're going to go to this movie or any movie in general, shut the fuck up. You're paying your hard-earned money to go to the theater to watch a movie. This isn't your fucking living room. You're not here talking with your spouse or your girlfriend or your family or just your friends who come over to hang out. You're not there to talk. You're there to watch the fucking movie. And you know what? Other people are there to watch the fucking movie too, who also paid their ticket to see the movie. So, if you go to the movie theater, shut the fuck up. I'm gonna give Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 4 out of 5 Blu-rays.
I like it a lot.
So guys, if you've seen Mission Impossible 7, what did you think about it? What is your ranking of all of the Mission Impossible films after this new release? Whatever you thought, comment below and let me know what you thought about. And as always, if you like what you see here, if you like my take on movies, then hit the subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell. See you the next time I'm releasing my next movie review. So guys, I will see you next time on the channel, but in the meantime, be well, be good to each other, and go watch a movie. Take care, guys.